Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramon, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I am so fired up to have you join us today because we dedicate this podcast exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose. And that purpose is having a servant's heart, being a service to others while you're approaching your work and your lives. Because guess what? You can truly make a difference. I also created the show to motivate, inspire, and educate you, but not just for me and the guests, but to impact your world. So you can go out to the world and make that impact and change some part of your world. And while you're listening to my incredible guests today, I want you to think about how you can serve yourself and others today and what impact you create today. And that point is that word is today. And we'll talk about with my great guest about waiting in sales. It's the same thing in service. Why wait? Let's start today right after the show. And I want to thank my incredible sponsor, Pantheon Alliance. They're building a community of very high income and successful business owners and entrepreneurs from very, very diverse industries, and together building this thought leader platform to impact and change the world. So if you're interested in this community, please reach out and I'll get you more information. With that being said, with impact and change, my guest, we're going to jump right into it because he's worked with some very successful people, but he has that servant's heart. He was telling me some great stories, how he put 3 people together and did an introduction and walked away, and it was magical. And we're going to talk a lot about that with sales. So, Mark, I want to welcome you to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. This is going to be a great subject, great topic. I'm anxious to kind of see where the conversation goes, right?
Me too, because I've been stalking you all morning. Now, 5 minutes. I shouldn't say all morning. I say that, people are like, what is he doing? But, you know, sales is part of our life, whether it's personal or business-wise. You're called a sales hunter. I've got to know the definition why you're called that.
Because my last name was Hunter. I mean, I did not change it. People always ask me, what was your name before you changed it? No, I owe it to my dad. Hey, with the last name of Hunter, you got to use it. So when I got into sales and began doing this, it just became logical. Hey, the domain name was available. So grab it, thesaleshunter.com. A lot of market research went into that, as you can tell, right?
Sometimes business just comes to us somehow, some way, right?
You got it.
Why is your career so inspired by doing sales or talking about sales and educating?
Well, because I hated sales. I did not want to go into sales. I was the last person standing who wanted to go into sales. The only reason I got into sales was because I got too many speeding tickets when I was in college, and I could not afford car insurance. So I had to find a job that supplied me with a company car. Now, that was the only reason I got into sales. What was funny was I did not know what I was doing, but I had a free car. I had a free car. I got fired from my first 2 sales jobs because I didn't know what sales was. It wasn't until my 3rd job that my boss sat me down and began to kind of get me on the right path. Because sales is not something you do to people. Sales is something you do for people. Oh, you know what? That's what a servant's heart is. A servant's heart is not about what you do to, it's what you do for. Because my definition of sales and my definition of leadership is exactly the same thing. Yeah, it is. It's helping others see and achieve what they did not think was possible. That's what a great salesperson does. That's what a great leader does.
Yeah. Interesting, as they say. So across your career, is there an ongoing theme that people, I don't want to say do wrong, but make the mistake of in sales that can especially easily be fixed?
Yes, I think the big thing is they put the focus on themselves. Don't put the focus
Ego.
on themselves. You always put the focus on the other. Now, okay, people always say, oh, yeah, I do that. I always but as soon as it gets down to the end of the quarter, they're desperate to close deals and they got to make their number. Here's the deal. You have to play the long game in this business. You have to play the long game. And relationships take time to develop. The people who you connect with, people you come in contact with. I'm always amazed. There are people I come in contact with, and I don't always know, why did I meet them? What happened? But then 3, 4, 5 years later, there's a connection that turns into a connection that turns into a massive opportunity, either for me or for them or for both. And that's really what I feel salespeople get wrong, because they look at themselves and they really reek of commission breath. It's no. If you take the time to help enough other people achieve their goals, you'll achieve your goals. Now, I didn't come up with that line. That was Zig Ziglar. Said that 30 years ago. But it's so true. If you help enough other people achieve their goals, you'll achieve your goals. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight. You can stumble and fall along the way. But you know what? With each stumble and fall, what do? You pick yourself up. You dust yourself off and you just keep going. Nobody goes through life without falling down 10,000 times. And that's okay. That's fine. I am failing every day. But every time I fail, I learn something. As a servant, as a leader, what am I doing? I'm trying to take my knowledge, my expertise, and I'm demonstrating ego. You just said the word ego. No, I didn't mean ego the way you think it is. I meant ego as an EGO, empowering greater outcomes. Think about that for a moment. If we can help others and empower greater outcomes in them, we're demonstrating ego the right way, the servant's heart ego.
Interesting. That's a good one, audience. You're going to write it down. Empower greater outcomes. I want to make that. That's so powerful. Leadership. Okay, you tied it to sales. Not a lot of people do that. I've talked to a lot of people, and probably many more you have. How do you do that, and why do you do that?
Well, here's the reason. At the end of the day, customers have options. Every customer has option. And so many times the customer's option is not to do anything. Not to do anything. They just choose not to buy, or they stay with their existing supplier or whatever. My job is to come in and to understand your business in a way probably even deeper than how you even understand your business. And I'm going to be able to see things and help you with things. Because if I can help you see and achieve what you didn't think was possible, you're going to do business with me. Now, the whole situation around sales is this. My goal in life is just to help people. That's my goal in life. My goal in life is just to help people. Now, to do that, I could have been a plumber. I could have been an airline pilot. I could have been a mechanic. I could have been in sales. Sales is just the medium that I've chosen to allow me to help other people. Stop and think about that. And again, it comes back to why we do sales. Not 2 people. We do it 4 people. Don't ask me to unplug your drain, because, I would have made a lousy plumber. So just saying.
Passionate, know what you're good at. Those are powerful things. Challenges from the prospecting standpoint. Okay. Our ultimate goal is sales. Talk about the prospecting, because it's done wrong so many times a day. I see it, and I want to help everybody. How do we fix that?
Oh, wow. So many people say, oh, I have a closing problem. Okay. First of all, I just got to say this. Closing a deal, that's terrible. I don't want to close a deal. I want to open a relationship. But anyway, here's the deal. It's not that you're having a problem. What you did was you prospected wrong. You see, what happens is we don't understand how to prospect. And you got to start with the definition of prospecting. If you have the ability to help someone, you owe it to them to reach out to them. Now, again, stop and think about this. If for instance, I have a lot of problems. My kids will tell you in a heartbeat, Dad has a lot of problems. And if you have a way to help me with them, I would want you to reach out to me. If I found out later that you could have helped me and you didn't, I'd be disappointed. We do our customers a disservice. Now, here's the challenge, and here's where prospecting goes wrong. It's not just anybody. It's not just random people off a street corner. We have to be very defined, and very defined by not what we sell, but the outcomes and the solutions we create. I tell salespeople, write down your best customers, and then write down what are the outcomes, what are the solutions you help them with. That's what you do. You are looking for more people like them who you can help achieve very similar outcomes. Those are the people you want to focus in on, because then when you reach out to those people, you know what? If you have the ability to help someone, you owe it to them to reach out to them. You owe it to them. You owe it to them to reach out to them. And all it is a conversation. I mean, I am not, I have yet to hear anybody say they got shot, killed, maimed, lost an arm because of a prospecting call. It just doesn't happen. So relax, just make the call, because you're doing them a service by reaching out to them.
You said something extremely interesting I want to bring back because the audience needs to hear this. I know the company better than they know themselves, meaning you now know their challenges, their passions, everything about them. How do you go about doing that?
Well, it's amazing. The internet is probably going to stick around. It's a pretty good tool. And of course, now we add in AI to that. There's a tremendous amount of information that you can get regarding. And when I say sell, I want to sell only in specific industries. I don't want to have customers in 10,000 industries. I want to have just one or two industries so I can really understand that industry. And I'm going to become a student of that industry. And I'm going to know the customers that are in that, the players that are in that. And I'm going to understand their business downstream, upstream, downstream. Who do they sell to? Who are their customers? And I don't care. You may be in a B2C business, business to consumer, but you know what? They're still a customer, because it may be the spouse. You're selling to one spouse and they got to sell the idea to the other spouse. Yeah, B2C. And the other piece is it could be upstream, because upstream is what are the challenges they're facing in terms of their supply chain and all of these other issues. So I want to understand, when I understand the business well, the industry well, it's amazing at how much more confident I can be in my conversation. And oh, by the way, the conversation is not the information I share. The conversation is the questions I ask. Because I'm not going to learn anything if I'm talking. But if I'm asking questions, it's amazing what I can learn.
I love that. And I'm going to tout real quick myself because I talk about that. I have this principle called the ASLA principle, ASLA. Ask, shut up, listen, ask. And I knew you'd love it. You just nailed it. And audience, if you just learn to ask questions, millions are not out of your question. And I've talked to many people like Mark who have done that. They've just told me, just ask questions. It's so powerful. Thank you for sharing that. It's because it's so simple. What's your challenges?
It is. Sales is much easier than we realize. It's just being inquisitive and not being fearful. And again, it goes back to, if you have the ability to help someone, you owe it to them to reach out to them. I love your ASLA, ASLA, because what I love to do is I'm going to ask you a question, shut up and listen. And whatever it is that you share with me, I'm going to ask you a follow-up question on that. Guess what happens? I suddenly look brilliant to you, because that person actually cares. They actually listen to what I had to say. And I can just play that game, rinse and repeat, over and over again. And it's amazing what I can learn from the customer. It's powerful.
And in the audience, he doesn't use game as toying with people. It's a game in our heads, me and Mark's heads. Okay, what's the next question I'm going to ask? It's nothing to do with the prospect or the client or the customer. It's the game we play around. Okay, what's that? Because that's exactly what I do. What's the next great question I could ask? That's why podcasting is so popular. I know we talked a little about your book. I love the name of your book is brilliant. A Mind for Sales. What the heck does that mean?
Well, it very simply comes down to this, to cut everything aside. The mindset you have going into a sales call predetermines the results you get coming out of it. Stop and think about this for a moment, because what I'm saying here is that when you go in with the right mindset, it's amazing how much better you listen. You suddenly hear things differently. you engage with them different, if you go in with a mindset, oh, the sales call is going to go nowhere, there's no opportunity there. Guess what? You won't hear anything. I have watched so many salespeople working virtually a very similar list, and one person has a great attitude, and it's amazing the opportunities that they create. And the other person has a bad attitude, and they burn through the list. They go, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. Your mindset, because when you have a mindset of serving, it automatically shifts you to a listening approach. Now I'm listening, and I'm listening to figure out how to help you better. This is what great leaders do. Great leaders are wonderful because they bring the best out of other people because they allow them to share. They allow them to discuss their ideas, and they lift them up, and they demonstrate that they care, that they're showing interest. And what does it do? You wind up with a better solution. You wind up with a better idea. You wind up with a more productive team. Same thing in sales. The customer, when I take this attitude of just listening to you, it's amazing at how much more information I learn faster. And you know what? I actually close the deal faster. Too many salespeople, what they do is they want to race to the close. They want to race to that close. They want to race to put that offer in front of them. And then they wonder why it stalls out. Well, it stalls out because you never took the time to get to know the customer.
Yeah.
And really, and don't say, oh, I know the customer. No, you don't. No, you don't. You got sales is emotional. Business is emotional. Life is emotional. There has to be this emotional connection. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen.
Yep. Credit card's not coming out. Their Venmo nowadays, digital stuff is not coming out. We're a little on the gray side. So we know the checks and stuff the old days.
Yeah.
So somebody's listening. I know I'm going to get a lot of comments. You said servant leader. We talked about leadership and sales. What does somebody do? Okay, I'm not a servant leader yet. What should I do to get on that path?
Well, first of all, everybody's a servant leader. I don't care who you are. You may say, oh, I don't have it's not my title. Yeah, but you know what? When you go into a Starbucks and you're talking to a barista, how are you addressing them? How are you conversing with them? You're walking into a convenience store. We all are in a servant leadership role. And again, what this does is it frames our DNA differently. You know, I love to say that sales is not a job. It's not a profession. Sales is a lifestyle. Leadership is a lifestyle because I'm always having the ability to lead somebody. That's what a servant is. My objective with every conversation I have, even my conversation with you today, is to earn the right, the privilege, honor, and respect to be able to come back and talk with you again. Hey, that's pretty cool. If I can go through conversations every day, earning the right, the privilege, honor, and the respect to be able to come back and talk to you again, that's pretty neat. You know what? I do that enough. Something's going to happen. Hello, folks. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that I'm rarely speechless, but you just nailing it. Audience, I hope you're taking notes because this is so powerful. We talked a little bit about the energy when you serve somebody before the show. I call it Christmas gifts. When you're a kid, you run to the Christmas tree, open that gift. You're super excited. That's what I feel every day when I'm serving. Talk about that and how it really affects your life.
Well, here's what it is. I mean, if I can go through a day and meet people and connect people and so forth. The other day we were talking before the show that I had met 3 different people, and I just knew that I got to get these 3 people together. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, last week they happened to be in the same place at the same time, and they all met. And one of them texted me afterwards. We had a 2-hour meeting after everyone left. They talked for 2 hours, and I said it was absolutely outstanding. We're going to be talking some more. It's great. And they said thank you for connecting us. And to me, that's incredible. See, here's something you say, Mark, you're selling. You didn't make a sale. No, you know what I did? Because you know what I did? I suddenly impacted 3 people. And guess what? They're going to be raving fans of mine. So guess what? If I do this enough, I'm going to have raving fans out there who are going to talk about me, who are going to help me. This is why I always say every person, every morning, you got to take a moment and first of all, have that attitude of gratitude. Okay, that's getting old. I get that. But take a moment and just send out a couple thank you notes. And okay, express your way through it. Text message, I don't care. Email, I don't care. But it's amazing when you take a moment to thank people around you. There was a CEO of a company Fortune 100 company. And very difficult situation the CEO went through. Was the CEO there for 12 years. I'm not at liberty to say the name. And it was very interesting, but he was an incredibly gracious individual. I remember going out to dinner with him, and he'd even engage the wait staff. Hey, how long you worked here? What do you want to do after this? Oh, you're going to school? Where are you going to school? He was incredibly courteous to everybody he met. And I asked him one time, I said, you are incredibly courteous. And yet you're a CEO. And when I mean CEO, I mean, they had the corporate aircraft, they had the corporate helicopter. This guy, full-time security, he never drove a car. This is a big hitter. And what was fascinating was he joked, he said, Mark, he said, well, my mom always told me to be nice. I said, oh, come on, knock it off. He said, okay, here's what I found. When I'm nice to other people, I make better decisions. Drop the mic. Now, if I were to give you the full backstory on this individual, he was on the board of directors of another Fortune 100 company, a Fortune 100 company that went through 3 CEOs in the course of 1 year due to 2 deaths. Yeah. You don't think that isn't a stressful situation? Publicly traded company, you're on the board of directors and your CEOs are dying on you. Yeah. And he, in his own company, was going through major issues due to major recall issues regarding China, issues regarding trade issues, huge. Yet his board of directors stayed with him. He was the CEO there for 12 years. And I still go back, he said, when I'm nice to other people, I make better decisions. Because you know what it is? He remained calm. I watched him in so many difficult situations. He was always the calm voice, just the calm individual, just methodically thinking through, not raising his voice, just stating, this is what we're going to do. And I saw that time and time again. That's leadership done right.
Incredible story, because he built relationships with that board by bringing value, serving them. It makes it easier instead of them yelling down his throat like, hey, we're in trouble, we got to fix this now. He's very calm, but they trusted. That's the thing about building relationships in a sales, is the trust factor that you bring in.
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, it is so powerful. But Harvey Mackay years ago wrote the book Swim with the Sharks, and then the follow-up one was dig your well before you need the water, or something of that nature. But yeah. His whole premise was you create the relationships before you need them, and that's what the CEO is very good at every level. This is what enables us to go through life and go through life well. This is what makes this one servant leader really stand apart, because they are servant leader 360 versus other servant leaders, which are only serving the immediate, what's in front of them.
Yeah. It is a game changer for business and life. Like I said earlier, people, because you're selling every day to your wife, to your kids, to your barista, to all the stuff that you said. We're always selling something, and somehow we just got to make it part of our life. We're coming to the end here, which is making me very sad. Publicly, I'd like to ask to have you come back. You had mentioned that, but there's much more in selling that we could delve into, because Mark, what you do and what you're about is for everybody. It's not just for the trade industry, the manufacturing industry, on and on. It's everybody, right?
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is why I love your podcast, because what you're doing is you're preaching from the mountaintops to the valleys below. Yeah, not from an egotistical standpoint, but you're sharing insights and you're helping people lead and doing it right. Because our whole job in life is to be able to impact and influence people in a positive manner.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Well, I'm going to say Eagle more now. It's empower greater outcomes. You just helped me, and that's audience. That's why you want to listen to as much as you can, because the more you learn, the better. I like to end with a little improv question. So you've got a reservation at a restaurant, table of 4. You're, of course, sitting in one of the chairs. The other 3 chairs, who would you invite, dead or alive? Why would they be invited? And what food would you order?
Wow, what food I would order I could care less because I am not a foodie. I would order anything. I would probably order a cross section of people. I would invite Warren Buffett.
Oh,
I would invite Tom Brady just to give me a different perspective. And the other person I would invite might be a Brene Brown. Again, I want divergent opinions sitting at the table. Never know where the conversation is going to go, but I have a feeling they're going to be pretty powerful.
the ongoing theme is every one of them are leaders. Brene Brown, her female perspective, Tom in the sports, and Warren in the fight. That's very interesting. I'd love to sit down Warren Buffett. Anybody that drives around a 10-year-old truck and has got the money he's got, I want to know what his mindset is. It's just beautiful. With that being said, how can people get the book, A Mind for Sales? How can they connect with you and learn more about this sales thing?
Yeah, well, the best way, just go out to Amazon because, again, A Mind for Sales. My other books are all out there. My website is thesaleshunter.com. And there's tons of assets there for people. I've got a couple podcasts. You can link to them by way of the website. But my whole objective is just to help people. That's my goal.
Perfect.
Put it out
I love it. And what's the name of your podcast?
Two of them. One is the Sales Hunter Podcast. Gee, that's an original name. Yeah. And the other one is Sales Logic. It's interesting. Sales Logic is a show I co-host with a lady. We've never had a guest on the show. And we do it every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time, wherever we are in the world. And that's part of the whole shtick because sales is about sales in life is about being consistent. It's about having habits and sticking with it. So we do it every Saturday morning, regardless of where we are in the world. I may be in Japan, she may be in Europe. We could be wherever, but 8 a.m. and we stream that live across the internet. But anyway, it's just a fascinating conversation. But we've never had a guest. Interesting.
That's why I love podcasts. You can do what you want. It's your life, your story. Do what you want. And by the way, now you gave me a reason to get up at 5 a.m. in California. So now I've got a good reason.
We have listeners every week who tune in at 5 a.m. from California, Oregon, and Washington. And I've done the show many a time from the West Coast. I've done the show at 3 a.m. in Hawaii many times. In Japan at 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. But it's just, we have a good time.
Yeah. And you're doing great things. And audience, get the book, get multiple books. You can see them behind them. Books are just such a great way to educate yourself and grow, because that's what you all want to do. And listen to the podcast. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I have a unique perspective on this, something different. You have access to Mark now easily, because when you subscribe, you can go right to the channel. Sometimes it's hard to search. Yeah, you could do the internet thing that Mark mentioned. It's still there and it's not going anywhere. But subscribing, it's a powerful way to have access and to other great guests like Mark. It's all about you guys, not about me or Mark. The other thing is, you run into somebody that says, I'm struggling in sales. Well, guess what? You have the channel. You go, here's the link to the YouTube of Mark. Listen to some things he said, like ego, empower greater outcomes. If somebody hears that, I know it's going to change my life. It's going to change theirs. And comment on the YouTube channel. If it's a critique for the podcast, that's great. Or a comment from Mark, I'll make sure he gets that as well. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching or listening. Me and Mark really appreciate that, because it's all about you, the audience. It's not about us. We thank you for watching and listening, and we'll see you in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.